Hi, I'm Dan Hegelund from Post Falls, and I will be speaking on Assemblies of God's history, mission, and governance. The Holy Spirit has been active on the earth since the beginning. It was the Holy Spirit that hovered over the waters of creation, and the Spirit came upon kings and prophets of old. The Holy Spirit was involved in every aspect of Jesus' ministry: his birth, baptism, ministry, death, and resurrection. It was likewise the Holy Spirit that led and guided the early church from its infancy, first on the day of Pentecost, and then throughout the book of Acts and throughout the last 2,000 years of church history in the lives of the believers. Azusa Street Revival of 1906 marked the birth of modern Pentecostalism. Evangelist William J. Seymour preached about the baptism of the Holy Spirit and the gifts of speaking in tongues. The revival lasted for 3 years, and many people came and were baptized in the Holy Spirit and spoke with other tongues. As the revival spread, many recognized the need for greater organization and accountability. In 1914, about 300 men and women met to promote unity and doctrinal stability and establish legal standing and ministerial training schools. I am encouraged by the multi-ethnic history of the Assemblies of God. I'm really happy that the Assemblies of God was leading the way in reconciliation and unity. As the world is becoming ever smaller, I believe multi-ethnic congregations will be vital to demonstrate the unity of Christ in a country that seems ever more polarized. I'm also happy to learn that the Assemblies of God very early ordained women as pastors. Let's take a look at church governance. Each local church falls into one of the 67 local Assemblies of God districts in the United States. District leaders serve the churches and recommend ministers for national credentialing. Each local church has its constitution and bylaws by which the church is governed. In Assemblies of God churches, Christ is considered the head of the church. As per Assemblies of God's statement on the qualifications and responsibilities of deacons and trustees, God's method of moving his church forward through the centuries is that God selects a person to be the leader, i.e., the pastor. And then he gives the leaders others, i.e., deacons, to serve as support to the leader and as fellow servants to the congregation. God has always chosen to give the leadership the vision for the work of the Lord. Board members are a team working together within the scope of their assignment with the view to achieving the successful advancement of the church. The board member is the pastor's advisor, helper, and prayer partner, a loyal supporter of the pastor, assisting in fulfilling the vision and goals God has given the pastor for the church. From the beginning, evangelism and mission were essential to the identity of the Assemblies of God and resulted in continued growth in the United States and abroad. We should all cultivate a willingness to count and pay the cost of discipleship, including, if need be, suffering and persecution. The AG-US mission exists to fulfill the Great Commission in the United States. The wings include chaplaincy, Chi Alpha, intercultural ministry, adult and teen challenge, US Maps, and Youth Alive. I'm so excited to see what God has in store for the future of the Assemblies of God and I look forward to playing a small part in advancing the kingdom in fellowship with the Assemblies of God.